jimjonesthreethousand here, and it's time for another album review. I haven't done one of these in a little while because I haven't really had an album to review in a little while. But for today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the new Tool album, Fear Inoculum. Um, you know, Full disclosure, real quick. I'm a big Tool fan. Have been for a long time. Uh, So that's kind of why I waited a week before I did this review, because I didn't want it to, I guess, feel biased because I'm already a fan. I didn't want to like force myself to like it, things like that. But getting right down to it, I think it's fantastic. It's undeniably Tool. It sounds just like Tool, as you should expect it to. I have heard some negative things about it. From some other reviews. In regards that I've read things and heard things like it was phoned in or what have you. But I honestly don't know if that's just like a reviewer just trying to be controversial, because it's kind of flawless. I know music is open to interpretation. Everybody has their own taste. So this, once again, this is just my opinion. And going back to the full disclosure, already a Tool fan, but getting right to the music, it's very precise. It's very polished. Everything fits together seamlessly, as you would expect from a Tool album. I'm not going to, say it's better than 10,000 Days or Lateralis, etc., or vice versa. I'm not going to say that any Tool album is greater than another. But what I can say is, Tool's albums have always felt like a progression. Sticking with what makes Tool Tool, but expanding upon it, and this album definitely does that, in my opinion. It's like any Tool song, or collection of Tool songs. They have a long run time. There are several transitions. They kind of take you on a journey. Obviously, it's recommended that you'll hear it a lot, that you should listen to it in headphones. And I really agree, because there are a lot of underlying sounds that could get lost. If it's played out loud, within the ambient. There's a text that came through. Ambient tones. But there's some things that I don't remember hearing on other Tool albums. There are some guitar harmonics that I don't remember hearing before. Obviously, you could tell that everybody's musical equipment seems like it stays the same. Adam Jones with that, Silver Burst Les Paul. It just, everybody's tones are defined, I guess is what I'm getting at. And it's really the music that's kind of speaking, rather than, there's some experimentation. There's a lot of things that I heard that, I couldn't really figure out. Like the second track, Pneuma, there's like this kind of clicking sound that slows down in the intro. It kind of really adds to the track. I don't know what it was. I didn't research what it was, but it sounds cool. When they released the title track, Fear Inoculum, about a month ago, that felt like an intro, which it was. It just felt like it was building up to something, and it's a title track. Also, the first song on the album, which is I've never seen Tool do that. Not that it makes any difference, but they usually don't lead with their title track, I guess is what I'm getting at. Um, all the tracks, once again, feel like a steady progression. The album as a whole feels like it's moving forward with the, you know, the peaks and valleys of the music. Um, Once again, I can't stress enough that it's a very precise album, very polished album. Um, Whoever does the engineering or the culmination of the production and engineering and whoever um, did the uh, production and post production work on this, the drums sound incredible. Um, but they have on the previous albums as well. Obviously Danny Carey, a lot of toms and tribal elements. He played on this album and the previous albums like he had 8 arms and 4 legs. The drumming's incredible. Adam Jones's guitar. A lot of the same things. A lot of hammer-ons. But it fits the music very well. I've heard some tones, guitar tones on this album I haven't heard before on previous albums. But then once again the old familiar tones. It's there's no denying that this is a Tool album. Anybody who's ever heard a Tool album, coming into this, not knowing who it was, they would know who it was immediately. I did notice a lot more like crunchier tones on some of the riffs. Once again, every song does feel like a journey, at least the long songs. There's a bit of vocal harmony, or overdubs that, once again, I feel are unique to this album. I haven't heard before on the previous albums. The Chancellor's bass is, once again, sounds fantastic. The typical tone that you're used to hearing. The typical playing style. Some cool things were done. On the title track, there was some working with the volume knob on the bass. Let's see. Do on some of the tracks that you do hear some kind of synth tones. Let's. I got like notes here. But overall, I mean, I think it's a fantastic album, a natural progression in their style and music. It's complex. It sounds great. Definitely one of those things. Listening from front to back with the headphones on. It's once again, it takes you on a journey, or whatever cliche thing to say there. Some of the tracks I really can't think of a favorite or standout. The first two, Fear Inoculum and Pneuma, they're great. The Litany Contre la Puer, or whatever, forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. That was an interesting little, almost felt like a theremin style to the, to the vocal kind of voice it was using. Invincible, great track, long, complex, a lot of parts. Legion Inoculant, that was pretty cool too. Just like any other Tool album, there's a handful of long tracks and then some little transition pieces, I guess. Chocolate Chip Trip was really, really cool. Danny Carey's little drum parts on that were amazing. Tempest was unique, or I thought it was pretty cool because it almost feels like, everything from Opiate to 10,000 Days and beyond, all the different styles and sounds and tones and Maynard's vocals. It really felt like it included. It was like a Tool buffet. Had a little bit of everything from their, at least in my opinion, as far as their the evolution of their sound. Um, and then what Mocking Beat. Once again, they usually close with some interesting secret track. But to wrap this up, as usual, the packaging was unique and um, really cool. Something that you can say you've never seen before. Um, the album as a whole, front to back, I thought was some of their best work. You know, wasn't disappointed in the slightest. It Once again, I took a week to listen to it a few times and you know probably listened to the album as a whole 3 separate times from front to back. Some of the tracks on the way to work, they're long, so usually one song would get me to work. That's how long the songs are. But I'd pick a different one and really listen to it again. And once again, I didn't want it to feel like after 13 years of waiting for an album, I didn't want it to feel like I just liked it because it came out after 13 years. It is really good, in my opinion. As a Tool fan, as a prog rock fan, as a fan of music in general, it's always nice when somebody releases something that's not simple, that's not mainstream, that isn't the same 4 chords and 4/4 time, and really kind of takes something to another level. It doesn't happen very often, and I'm glad this album came out because it is one of those albums that isn't simple. I'm an aspiring musician, and my gauge is pretty much if I don't think I could do it, or if I think it's way beyond my my level of I guess music talent. Of course, I have a lot more respect for it, and this is one of those albums. I can't even tap my foot to it, but the music is great. The production is great, the engineering is great, the packaging was fantastic. The songs are very much Tool, which I love. And also why I bought the album. It was not a disappointment in my opinion after 13 years, and I hope the next one doesn't take this long. But it was great. Rock on. Thank you very much for watching my crappy upload. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe and click on one of my other videos wherever it may be. Also, I have an old channel with like hundreds of uploads of random things. Please subscribe to it as well wherever it may be. Thank you very much.